endowments, yeah.
Nice thing about Yellowstone too is Grand Tetons.
They have the
right.
trustees.
Good evening to all. I'd like to call this meeting to order. It is 7 o'clock. On tonight's agenda, we have meeting minutes, discussion of the operating budget, and any other business that comes before the committee. All members are present during this period. Thank you for coming out. It's been an interesting week weather-wise. A gentle reminder that it's that time of the year for several folks. It's re-election time. And up for re-election this time, Jules, if you so choose, John, and Eric. So you'll need to come in, is it 8 to 4? 8 to 4:15 and
3 to 4:50.
8:30 to 4:15 and come in and sign up.
With the town clerk.
Town clerk, and put your name on the board if you're interested. Okay?
Just sign a form and...
You'd be good for a period of time. Okay, what I would like to do now is go to the meeting minutes. I would like to start with the non-public meeting minutes of January 14th, 2015. Please read through them. And if there are additions, changes, or whatever, we'll go into non-public session to make those changes and then come back out. If not,
Make a motion to accept the non-public meeting minutes as written.
is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. Discussion, additions, or subtractions?
Just one, it's just a grammatical thing, maybe. In somebody's paragraph, it says she, but everything else has the person speaking name. I just didn't know if it should say that or not.
I could change that.
Okay. Good question. Joanna will take care of that for us.
Okay, it's just,
Sure.
Okay, further discussions, additions, or subtractions?
Well, I guess I'll withdraw my second, and we'll have the motion as amended,
Okay,
and then I'll second it again.
okay.
You got that?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Ayes have it. Please return them to the chair. Meeting minutes. Thank you, sir.
Just a non-public.
I think I got 'em.
I think, you don't?
Did you get a little start?
You should.
There should have been two.
this?
Should be 2 copies.
Yeah. Non-public?
That's okay? Okay, I would now bring before the committee the Tilton Budget Committee meeting minutes of January 14, 2015. 2/15, it's been a long day. 2015. Please review. John, your packet's here. There's the red pencil.
There is a red pencil, there's a red pencil
Use
there.
red,
Did you
it's
get the red
bad.
pencil?
Yeah, there's
Red
eight.
pencil.
I have a lot of that.
Make a motion to accept the minutes as written?
So, I'll second it.
Eric seconds it. Any discussion, additions, or subtractions? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. Meeting minutes are accepted. Okay. Next item on our agenda is the discussion of the operating budget. It's always a fun time. Last week, we started with the admin section. We were just going through some of that administration stuff. We had decided at last meeting that we'd go section by section. Is that still the comfort level of the committee at this point in time? And using as a foundation, the budget numbers that came from the selectmen. Hearing no objections, let us start with administration. 01 to 62, Pat? Are there any questions, discussions, additions, subtractions that the committee would like to propose
In administration,
in administration?
I'd like to make a motion to change 0162-413-099-266, which is the merit raise pool for town hall, to $5,085.
Okay?
Instead of 151?
Instead of $6,025.
Okay. Eric, are you,
You're looking at expenditures?
$5,085.
Eric, do you mind making those changes? And Doing the math?
Can I borrow the?
5-0.
Calculator?
Yeah.
No, I
Red
borrow the
pen?
red pencil.
Red pencil is yours, sir.
What was it, 5,000? Well, it hasn't been approved
And
yet.
85, yeah.
Okay.
If somebody wants to second it for discussion.
I'll second it.
Seconded by Jane Alden. Further discussion.
Which line was it again? I'm sorry.
266 on page, oh, there's no numbers. That would be
Page
the,
3.
page 3, there we go.
Discussion.
Okay, so what that reflects is, instead of a 2.5%, that reflects a 2% increase on the employees' wages. And the thoughts behind it was, last year, we had put in for a 2.5% increase. However, the employees got most of them got around 3% increase. So this would average out that over the 2 years that they would get a 5% increase between last year and this year.
How did it end up being that they got a 3%? Or just worked out that way, or curious
That's,
how that happened?
that's the way the raises were given out.
It doesn't reflect that on here, does it?
No, the difference is there were two people, or two employees that they had wage adjustments. So they didn't get the 2.5, but their 2.5 was given to the others. Sort of to, and it was, I think it was the overlook.
Okay, Pat.
It was strictly Jules, to answer that question. At Selectmen's era, we thought there was 3% in the budget, and that's what when we interviewed we went over the evaluations. We based it, when we met, the selectmen met and looked over each and every evaluation. I can't say whether we were told or we just looked at it and said it was 3%. It was an error, definitely an error.
Just like a clerical
It
error.
still falls, whether we were told or not, it still falls in error of selection. It was not, we just did it.
The number
I was
didn't
just curious.
exceed the 2.5 last year.
Oh.
2.5.
It didn't
Yeah.
exceed the overall. However, the employees, because two employees had wage adjustments, they weren't up to par with the general wages that, is being paid for their
Okay.
duties.
So I'm just curious about the mechanism of this. what
And that was my
numbers
thought, is it
work.
would average out for 2.5.
I guess because it was an error last year and not, and strictly an error last year, I don't see that as a rationale for reducing it from 2.5 to 2% this year. Because I thought, didn't the body last year vote in favor of the 2.5 that was given last year?
Yes.
So I mean, I don't think that we should penalize people this coming year who earn a merit increase of 2.5% because an error was made in a one-time situation last year. And that's what I'm hearing.
Catherine.
Just to put into that, it sounds like that we increased those raises higher than they should have because we did make a mistake. I just want to remind the Budget Committee that there were at least 2 years in a row where no raises were given. And the selectmen didn't, give them larger raises to make up for that. We've never made up for those 2 years, but they didn't get raises.
And we did not overextend the budget last year that was put out and approved at town meeting before that amount merit pool raise.
John, how would that affect the bottom line to the admin budget?
The total amount is, of that change is $700 or $800 of the admin budget. It would subtract exact amount. If you look at the cost of living, and if you take the 2 years and look at how the taxpayers are getting their wages increased in that, which are pretty stagnant, all the employees over the both years will get over a 5% increase, because if you get a 3% one year, your wage goes up. If the next year you get a 2%, it comes out to be actually about 5.1% over those 2 years, 5.175. So they would get, which is a nice raise, 2.5%. In the private sector, a lot of people aren't getting that. And that's,
I'm confused, because my
too
understanding, only one person got the 3%. Did they all get the 3%? Because of the mistake?
Since I've been a selectman, not all people got the amount given to, if there was 2.5% allocated for merit raises, it's all based on merit. Some people, a couple of years ago, got 1%, some people got 2%, some 0.5%. It goes on strictly on merit, and that's why the Board of Selectmen sit down and evaluate every single one of them. It doesn't go by department recommendation, department head recommendation. And not everybody got the top-notch merit. This year, I believe there were 6.
Question, what you're asking for is a pool. Okay, it's a pool. I don't care whether it's 2.5%, 3%.
Okay.
You're asking for a pool of money to be able to withdraw from that pool of money. Merit raises to be determined by the Board of Selectmen as to how it gets spread around. So we, as the Budget Committee, are voting on that pool
Right.
of money, not whether it's a 2.5% raise, a 2% raise, or a 1% raise, but is that pool of money appropriate for that situation? We went through that with the school budget, where they kept saying 4 or 5%, and I said, I don't care about percentages. What is the pool? So what happens with that pool is, if it's not used, then it's transferred to other items within the budget itself. So what I'm looking at this not as a percentage, but as the pool of money that can be drawn from. Further discussion?
That was the point I was going to make, that it's a pool, it's not a percentage.
Well, I think what John is saying, though, is the percentage comes to the numbers of 5,000 versus 6,000. At 5,000, you take the amount that the people make, and it would come to 3%, whether it's
Right.
given at 1, 3, 2, and at 5,000, it would be closer to...
Well, actually, they could
Is that
give...
what we're talking? That's where the percentage comes.
Right.
What is $6,025? Where did the selectmen come up with that number?
that would reflect the wages from the next year's wages times 2.5%.
Okay, that's what he means by...
Last year's
Whether it's
wages.
given at 0.5%, 2%, 3%, whatever
But
it
as
is.
I'm looking at it from the Budget Committee,
Sure.
I'm looking at it not as percentage, but as a pool. Is that pool large enough or too large for that item to be used at the discretion of the selectmen, who can do 3%, 2.5%, whatever they decide by policy? We don't make the policy.
Right.
We provide the pool of money
Sure.
that can be drawn from that. And I understand, John, from the point, you believe there's too much money in that pool at this point in time. Now, my understanding is, if the selectmen decided still to give 2.5% or 3% raises, they could find money within the budget itself, transfer it over to that money. So we're not going to control the percentage. All we're going to control is the pool.
The ultimate effect is it's it's an $800, it's around 800, the number.
940.
940. On the bottom line on the
Okay.
budget, it's a savings of that. Yes, I'm sure there's money that could come up if needed to increase if somebody did some excruciating,
Okay, sure.
I just have a question just to understand the process. So if employee A is earning $10 an hour and they get a merit raise of 2.5%, that's 25 cents. So they're getting, so in next year, they're getting $10.25 an hour? Is that, so it's not necessarily a bonus per se, where it's 2.5% of their salary, and it's like a, here you go, like, it's spread out over a year,
It's given out in July.
Okay.
Around the 1st of July,
Yep.
it's usually retro, if we don't get to it by July, it's retro, right, it's retro back to July 1st.
A fiscal.
So it's
Yep.
the
Stan,
first
you had a question?
half a year.
And I have a question of how it comes off in the reporting of it. That's why I was looking at this, and that's why I asked about the number of $151, because this is Tim's latest update that we just got, unaudited, December, and it says $151, month-to-date expenses, year-to-date expenses, 0, balance $151, and 0 used.
Go ahead.
What happens is once that's given out, it gets transferred over into the wage line,
Okay.
so you'll see it.
So
You'll hear that.
next year's,
Yeah, that's it.
okay, all right.
Okay,
But
further,
wouldn't that, I'm sorry, but,
Go ahead, Tim.
like, say, for instance, last year, the number was the same, $6,025. Wouldn't budget say $6,025 in year-to-date expenses, and what's left over is $151? You know what I'm saying?
I do know what you're saying. We can look at the budget. We can actually get your figure if you'd like on what was budgeted for the last couple of years.
Well, I could look at last year's, but I'm just saying, how does it work? Why does
Once it's
that line
spent,
say
it's
that?
no longer in that line.
Okay.
But I get what you're saying, because you
Yeah.
would really like to know what was budgeted in
What did last year say?
What was there.
Right.
And then the expense. I've had that argument now for a few years.
Okay.
But it's an accounting thing, it's a finance thing. and-
but
But for you folks in the budget committee, to have that information, say, last year we had $5,600 and we spent all but $151.
Right.
Exactly.
And that's why this, for what I think would make sense, and Tim, finance, it probably works properly, he knows better than I do, but I would think it would say 5,000 expenses, 5,000, 4,000, 6,000, whatever it would be. And that's why it was like, where did these numbers come from? Because I
It has
said,
something to do with
Yeah.
the wages are already in the other lines.
right.
And so now you're
Yep.
double tapping on
Yep.
It's for auditor purposes, probably, it has to be done that way.
It has to
The
balance.
bottom
Yeah.
line number has
Yeah.
to balance out, so you can't have it in two places.
some towns should leave it in the budget, though, and they show that they had just say a merit raise pool of $5,000, and they spent $4,500. They show it, they leave it in the line. It's just, I don't know.
if Tim could get that.
I've got the actual number.
Bottom of the page.
It's not,
Actually downstairs working, I can have it.
in fact, Tim is downstairs, so then maybe he'll get that data for you if you'd like.
I have the actual number
Pages.
that it would save on that line was $940 on the town hall. Is that what you came up with? Yeah.
And what number of employees are we talking about? It's not
How many town employees are eligible for the
Well, this-
merit?
1, 2,
Well, this is just town hall employees, right?
right?
And do you remember how many employees? Is it 7?
About 18.
18.
Now, in town hall, administration only.
Between the PD, eligible.
Well, we're on the line for the administration.
There's,
It's 6,
And that would be my question, is this
8,
merit
7,
pool town hall just for town hall employees? Or is there a merit pool?
There's a merit pool for every
for each
department.
one. And I'll be addressing those
Yeah.
as it goes on. But so it comes out to be about $100 less a year for the employee. But they did get extra last year.
Yeah.
Over than what was planned.
Do we need further discussion on the issue? Hearing no further discussion needed, John, would you restate the motion, please?
A motion to recommend a change of the merit administration merit raise pool line, 266 to $5,085.
Okay. Does everyone understand the motion? Are we ready to vote on the motion?
No
Need a
second.
second?
We need a second.
It's
Well,
already
you had the
seconded.
second. I was
No,
just
just
repeating.
restating the
I
motion.
didn't know it was second.
Okay? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay.
Nay.
Okay, the ayes have it. Further discussion within the administration budget, as proposed by the Board of Selectmen.
Someone else wants to go first. I have a few questions.
Oh, go ahead, sir.
I'm looking more at what Tim updated for this year, and just questions as to reappraisal of property. Was that something that, why it was so much higher than it was expected?
This year?
Yes. 70-900. I'm looking at Tim's update today, or that I printed out today. It's sent a
Oh, I
couple
didn't.
days ago. 7,900 reappraisal of property.
But for revenues,
Yeah, those are revenues. Are they not?
No.
You're looking at the financial
No.
report.
Finance report.
page-
It's on page 4.
Page 4?
Oh, this?
7,900, we have 38, expenses is
Wait, is
68.
this the right number?
See, these are two different,
This is the...
What page is it?
Okay, hang on for a second,
on
Catherine.
page,
If you're looking at an expenditure
On page 4,
report,
We're looking
it shows
at-
what we
it's not
spent
expenditure.
year-to-date.
on page 4,
Okay,
2, 3, 4th, 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth line down, reappraisal of property.
Okay, I got it.
2014 budget was 38,000 and change. Expenses was 68,000, almost 69,000.
Catherine.
On the update
Yeah. Oh,
that we got after this came out, it's now at 84,000, with a balance of negative $45,000 at a percent of 200%. What is that, and why was it expensive?
Catherine, you want to respond?
I don't know exactly what you're looking at.
I get-
Appraisal of property is
I don't see
outside.
84 in it.
Okay, look on here.
Appropriate
This is the
for
current year
services
expenditures.
that provide us and then, you know, pickups
I've
and
got the
whatnot.
one where it's-
And then we have to budget for
And if we do-
The 68,
Five years,
okay,
we
so
don't-
This
84.
reappraisal property
So if you're looking at an
84
expense report,
is actual
it shows,
spent.
You know, much more than the 38,000 is because we paid for that update portion of it also.
and what you see has to be paid is not been transferred out of the revolving fund that we put aside each year for the 5 years to pay that fifth year.
Every year we put in
38,000.
38,000.
Right,
Okay.
Right.
So next year, being at 38,000 again,
Should be the same.
Should be all right.
Because the trustee of trust funds are downstairs.
They're meeting now.
They're meeting now. They'll approve that that transfer goes out, and then Tim will pay the general fund back,
Does that make sense?
and that will go down.
okay.
John, any...
So it should hit back to where it was, where it should be. And next year, being at 38 and change, should be all right. All right, that's what I'm
Each
asking.
year,
Yep.
every 5 years, we get a complete reassessment,
fifth is
which is
out.
very expensive.
Is that
Instead of getting hit
mandated?
in 1 year, we salt away money each year. It still puts the regular amount is in there, but now we're taking out from the other account that we salted away. For the this is the 5th year, so that's why it would be over.
And we have to pay that, that's like mandated,
Yeah.
right?
It's like having an escrow account.
It's yeah, to make sure everybody's paying the right
But the
amount of
trustees
taxes.
of the trust fund are responsible for those transfers,
Ah,
and they're meeting tonight.
that's what they do, okay.
Stan,
Got it, thanks.
And then the other question, and it's not necessarily even a question, it's really just miscellaneous expenses at administrative. Last year, we went quite a bit over budget. We lowered it down to $1,500. It's now over $900 over what it should be, and then just digging deeper into this latest report. It's not really a question, it's just a comment of, I think we spent like $600 on Christmas wreaths. Just for the record, I personally think that line, and I'll look it up, should be lowered even more. You know, granted, it's going to take from other places, but
What
to
line is that?
go 61% higher, just miscellaneous expenses, and I get that sometimes there's miscellaneous expenses. Last year, we looked at it, it's not a big item, it's only $900, but $900 is what we're talking about on people's merit pool, you know? And last year, we looked at it, and it was, you know, wreath for here, or a bouquet here, and granted, you know,
Christmas parade, Old Home Day, candy.
I mean,
Did I say Old Home Day candy?
yeah, and Old Home Day has its line item, just looking at, you know,
That's to pay Old
The-
Home
Old
Day.
Home Day,
That's-
that's not,
Outside agency.
There's nothing to
that's
do with
not the parade. This is,
Right.
Yeah, you know, I think last year I said the same thing, I hacked into it. And I think, was that 2,500?
Yeah.
And I hacked it down to,
Yeah.
I hate to say it, to
15.
1,500. And, you know,
Because last year, wasn't there some, I remember the issue not issue, but was a couple gift cards that were given? Was that out of that line? Gift
That was
card?
a couple years before that. The year before. Retirement. Oh, the two gift cards, right? One is
Yeah.
gift cards for working above and beyond on a printing or something.
no, somebody
That was
retiring.
2013.
And like I said, it's not really a question, I don't expect an answer from it, it's just, for the record, Hardee's greenhouses, 30-inch Christmas wreaths, $196. Hardee's greenhouses the month before, Christmas wreaths, $196. And the Blossom Shop wreath, $81. It's just a comment, it's not a question, it's not a, you know, that's
Well, if you'd like, you can-
$500,
we'll
you
entertain
know?
a motion if you'd like to make a change, sir.
I don't, if you can ask other people questions right now, I'll come back to it, if you don't mind.
No problem.
It's just baffling, it's, you know?
I mean, just for discussion, you know, I'd like to keep it at the 1,500, not less than 1,500. So those things add up, and I think we probably could work at it more to get it down, but I don't think it would be possible to get down to the 1,500. You have things, we have some of the things, award ceremonies where we had Gene Forrester, and there was a general that was here and things, and you have to present something there.
Yeah, and that's
so
what I
tough
ask,
to-
is if
And you-
you guys, as people who are here more often, think that is justified, then I
And you've
will.
got big buildings for, like Christmas wreaths, and we place a wreath out at the monument.
Does it make sense to you guys?
It makes sense to me.
Does it?
Yeah.
All right.
Also, when you have, we have a wreath for Memorial Day that.
That's right. That gets
veterans that
presented.
go out here for.
Yeah, that's what I just said.
When an employee in town hall is sick or has surgery or something like that, there's.
I also remember that last year, the first time, Candidates Night, where we had candidate night and we had refreshments, and John and I were there, and it was a wonderful discussion that went on, that never had happened before, so it's also used for that. But I understand the concerns.
And that's why it's
Yeah, it's
better
so
to
tough.
hear from you guys or hear more often than
Right.
I am that,
You know,
you know what, it's not
the only thing I could say is,
crazy. I'm
you
just
know,
thinking, you know.
as a selectman, I can try and do my best to make sure we're getting the best value for what we get, but
And that's
a
why
hard
when I
one.
read Reed's, now it makes sense for the cemetery, for veterans, or for, all right, I'll
it's so
sleep
hard.
a little better after reading
Catherine.
the one, you know?
We found a number of years ago, as a selectman, I made a motion with the others not to have, we're not going to buy any more birthday cakes, no more birthday cards, no wreaths on the building. I convinced them. And we did not put wreaths up on the building, and there was a huge cry from the public, so I never brought it up.
Yeah, okay.
Any further items that
Try and be
we,
more thrifty next year, I think.
Right.
If we, it's,
but again, that's,
we don't know what's gonna happen.
Well, as long as it's, you know, a group of people all say, you know what, it is justified, because everybody should have some miscellaneous, because you never know what things are going to pop up. And if, as long as it's
and I, two things.
above ground and it's for the right reasons, it's not just, you know,
And I thank the selectmen for providing oversight for that, to make sure it's not getting out of control and taking actions like they did last year to bring it even down farther. And I think, yes, I think that's a legitimate concern from the Budget Committee. And thank you for bringing that forward, Stan.
yeah, and like I said, I mean, that's half of what, we're looking at people's raises, so.
I forgot to mention at
That's why I
the
asked.
beginning of our session, you should have gotten a couple documents from Tim. One was the December unaudited expenditures. You also should have gotten a couple of memos from Tim explaining the process around February, when the final invoices come in, and a revenue report that Tim sent out, I believe, today. So that all should be on your emails. If you don't have them, let me know. Are there further items for discussion under the administration section of the budget?
I don't.
Eric?
Was there a motion to lower that, or no?
No.
Tossed it
Well,
around.
as of now,
It was
the
tossed.
selectmen's is at 2,000. I think, John, you were discussing the thoughts of 1,500. Should we motion to keep it at the selectmen's, or are we just gonna?
And that's up to you, you know, if you want to go the,
I feel better about the number that you guys came up with,
you know, I
because it
think
seems to make a little more sense to me now.
it's still, that number is still less than what we actually spent last year, so I think it's a good target. Be great if we can come back next year. and
Well, it'd
say,
be great if
"Well, I
everything was
spent
free," you know?
1999. But I think we have, we also have two employees that are retiring that have been here many, many, many years, and it's kind of, as a town, when you have somebody that's here 20-plus years, you should have something.
Well, even when you have, I know if you come to the selectmen's meeting, a lot of times there are awards given to the police officers, or graduations from various schools that town people go to, and you have a lot of visiting guests and dignitaries, and I think it's appropriate that there be some kind of refreshments at those. I mean, that, I don't think it's asking too much to do that either.
And they're open to the public, it's
Yeah.
not like a...
I just
Yeah,
put it on the
I guess-
record, 23 years from now, I want a card.
Absolutely. Any
I want a card!
Now you've got it.
Any further discussion? If not,
make that-
the chair will entertain a motion to accept the numbers as proposed by the selectmen, and the one addition, or the one correction or amendment that was made by John.
Yeah, so do we want to say the bottom line number?
Yeah, I'm doing that right now, thank
Did
you.
you see, Eric is fixing the bottom line. You actually got out of this, Eric's doing it over here for you.
So it's
So we're just
900.
talking administrative?
Yeah, just administrative.
Administrative.
So, The total would be $655,489.
655
$489.
for...
I actually have one more question. if you
Okay,
don't mind,
go for it,
before
sir.
we move forward. Legal expenses, I understand why legal expenses were high for this year. Is it anticipated to have more
think-
legal expenses next year?
One of the big things is we just went through reassessed everybody. And those tend to kind of stir up the pot a little bit. And they're usually resolved, but you got to be prepared for them. And we had great results. Last year, we did win some, well, actually, it was in the paper, for an assessment that was challenged over quite a period of time. It was expensive. We won. We came out ahead. And we were right with our evaluations, and it's good to defend those so that people don't just do that. So, yes, I think that's right, looking at our
Well,
reassessment.
that explains why it's an
Yeah.
assessment. It's not because of past issues that may not have been resolved.
Catherine, Pat, any input?
The legal line is unpredictable. I mean, there's a great deal of, a good majority that is assessment, but it's unpredictable. You don't know.
Thank you. Catherine?
Continuing cases too.
Yeah.
And one is, we kind of know where it's going to go, so.
And I wouldn't want the details of stuff like that, just that it wasn't just clerical, we didn't realize there was thought behind it and reasons.
No, fine, great question. Is there a motion to accept the number?
So moved.
So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion, amendments or questions? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Not hearing any opposed, we accept the numbers as discussed in this meeting for a bottom line of,
$655,489 and no cents.
John? All right, moving on, this is good, we got check and double check. Moving on to the next section, which I believe is Town Clerk Tax Collector. And open it for a discussion?
Getting information from, did she send anything up on that amount?
She submitted a bunch of figures, is that?
John, you have a question, sir?
I don't know exactly where the number came from.
Which one is that, John?
We asked
These are
to
the
get
comparisons.
information from Cindy as to why she requested that amount.
Okay.
I believe a couple of weeks ago gave you a...
Yeah, I think that's what we discussed, is we have what other people pay, but why does she feel that she fits into that? That's a, I don't know.
I think it's based on numbers of years of experience, which she has quite a few. You know, the amount of money she handles, the responsibilities she has, what she has. You can't compare Tilton, the population of other towns. You can compare them by total budget, and you'll find that our budget is high as people with 5,000, 6,000 people. It's a lot of history. It would take me a while to fill you in. But when we changed it, this is very brief synopsis. When we went from a town clerk and a tax collector, and we made it a combined position. The selectmen at the time, and I was one of them, I wasn't aware that this took place. I don't know why, maybe I probably gave a figure that would serve for the current town clerk, if she got the position, because of the years of experience. And a figure if someone who had no experience, those both were plugged into the budget. It was a warrant article. When the current won the election, the selectmen subtracted from that salary, if you will, what the current tax collector had earned in January to March. Do you follow what I'm saying?
Yes.
So let's just say, and I don't remember the figure, we promised $50,000 would be the salary for that position. Once it was elected and won, the selectmen said, oh, no, we have to subtract now what the current tax collector is making, then you'll get the residual. So some of this is trying to make up for that.
Okay.
I've thought long and hard about this, because 16% plus is a very large increase. However, this position comes before town meeting, before the voters. And I sincerely believe that it's up to the people who go to town meeting to either say yay or nay to her request. It's not up to the budget committee to say that. I mean, it's the only salary that really is up to the, and I believe this is an RSA, isn't there?
Elected official.
Elected official, isn't there an RSA concerning it?
41 going 25, it's the only,
Full-time elected.
Yeah, can you,
it's
could
the
you,
only
could we,
salary that is by, it is by, at the annual town meeting, they determine the rate and amount of compensation. The reason that is because you can also pay your town clerk tax collector through fees that she collects. But this town doesn't do that. They opt to have her a salary. And for many years, before I was a selectman, while I was first a selectman, the selectmen treated that wage as any other. We would set the wage. We would determine a raise for it until this was discovered, which was only 3 years ago.
yeah. So that's why I'm saying it makes sense to me for the budget committee to leave it the way it is, and then when it comes before the town meeting, as an elected official, the town can voice their opinions on it.
That's why the selectmen chose to leave it as she suggested.
And I think that's part of Jane's question, correct me if I'm wrong. If we put it at the same as last year, and we budget it at that number, and she gets the raise by the people, that'll mess up your budget. If we put it at the higher number and she doesn't get it,
We have extra money.
there's just extra money in there.
Well, but the thing is,
They'll adjust it right
But it would
there.
adjust it, so...
Right at town meeting.
And so I think that's what you're getting at, if you
Yeah.
leave it at what it was last year, and that would be part of the warrant article or the vote of not only does, but an adjustment to the budget.
it can be
Right?
amended any
Is that-
time to
yeah.
meeting. The problem I have is that if we don't fund it at 60,000, we'll have to come up with $10,000 within the budget itself.
That's what I'm asking. We
Cover-
can't,
Yeah.
we
Yeah,
can't.
John,
Hey, you know, it's nice to leave it up to the legislative body, but as a budget committee, we should take some responsibility to come up with a number that we would recommend based on some type of information that we've gathered. And it would be nice to have Cindy present that and I don't understand where these are
Well, that's what I
going.
thought we had
And-
asked for. I
Yeah.
thought you were going to talk with her, and we were going to get her rationale for why she had come up with that number.
Was I supposed to talk to her?
I thought you were.
Oh, I thought I was
Volunteer
getting the
you
other
for everything.
information. I thought that was going to be, okay. Oh,
I didn't want to cut you off.
so my suggestion is throw a number in there, maybe either go with the 60. If we all feel that she is due some type of increase, we should put some type of increase in there, and then let it, come before the floor.
I'll be right with you, Pat.
If anybody wants to throw a number out there, either
John,
the
would you like to make
60
a
or a
motion?
58 or anything like that.
John or Stan, make a
I'm
motion.
just-
I would like to hold off on this one, if we can, or is there a need to really hammer this out?
John, how are we on time for the public meeting?
Public
Hearing is next week.
Next week?
Yeah.
Well, we can still amend it, because we have another hearing
Right.
after that.
Do you want to make a motion as to what number you'd like to put in?
I'd like to confer with some more advice. Thoughts?
Can I,
Okay, Eric? I'll be right with you.
can I just throw a number out there? Just to give you some type of thing, if you do like you do all other employees and did a 2.5% merit raise, the salary would be $52,674.79. Just to give you some perspective.
If,
Matt, go ahead. You're fine.
I want, if in fact the board wants to, the budget committee wants to make a stand on this and bring the number to the town meeting, then I think that you deserve somewhat of a perspective from where we came from. And over the last 3 or 4 years, the selectmen have taken a look at the jobs, the wages, and some of the people that have been on the budget committee for some time know what we've tried to do has been consistent and equitable fairly with their wage. And you have employees that start at $16 an hour, and then, a year, 2, 3, 4 years later, you're hiring somebody at $18 an hour, and that person's still at, $17 an hour. Well, there's some adjustments that need to be made, and so we took a serious look at everyone in town hall, in highway, of course, police is contractual. And over the last 3 or 4 years, we've made adjustments accordingly. Last year, the deputy, there was an adjustment with the deputy. There was a new hire in land use. If you look at the salary of the new hire in land use, and then you look at what we're going to hire somebody in Catherine's position when she retires, and then you look at the longevity that our town clerk has, 16 years. Let me say that again, 16 years. So you have somebody as a deputy for 4 years, or this will be her 5th year as a deputy in July. I believe in July it will be 5 years for the deputy. And she's making $22.38 an hour. And it's okay to say, take Cindy's salary and 2.5% will bring her at $52,000. But at $52,000, if you look at it, for 16 years, she will be only maybe $3,000 difference in the year above the deputy who's been here for 4.5 years. So you really have to take that into consideration, all the perspectives. Cindy looked at this sheet where you look at the comparison, the assessment and the population of the different towns and what they pay deputies, what they pay town clerks, and came up with an average and put that in. And that took a lot of time to do, because I know the selectmen took a lot of time in dealing with the deputy. To do that, we had to go all the way around to look to see what others were paying, and it's no small feat to do that. So I would highly suggest, if you're going to do that, look at the entire picture and the structure of town hall, and
John.
take into consideration of 16 years.
John Bossy.
I have a statement that's going to be followed by a motion.
Okay, go for it.
My statement is going to be that if you look at the deputy tax clerk, department request this year is $46,551, and the actual expense in 2014 for the town clerk is $49. Let's call it almost $3,000 difference between the two. So far. So my statement is that I think that the salaries, are too close together, and actually, I feel that even at $60,000, looking at other department heads, I don't think her responsibility is any more or any less than the public works director, the police chief, the town administrator. my statement is that, and my motion is that we go in line with her request, the selectmen's 60,000, and make a motion to carry it over to $60,000 and let the legislative body decide.
John, could I ask you, that motion is good, whether you would be comfortable accepting all the items
I would.
within that item as the number, we'll use the numbers that the selectmen have approved
Yes.
as filling in as our approval.
Do you want me to re-motion?
Yes, please.
I'd like to make a motion that we accept the proposed budget of $126,751.
Second.
Further discussion?
The only discussion I would have, and that's why I asked about extra time, and we don't have it, and I think Pat answered the research I would have done. When we were talking about, I think John asked about it, when the deputy town clerk was up a significant percentage. I went back and did some research, and we looked at, different reports that the state came out with and it was that we were well below the average. And that was for our town, number of people compared to other towns with the same number of people. We have a much bigger commercial base than most of those towns. So when I looked at it, what looked crazy was actually right in line. It wasn't, and then you start looking at other salaries of other positions, and you know what, I was actually amazed that, New Hampshire costs a lot of money to run small-town business, or all town government. And it seems to me, if I did that same research for this position, which I wanted to do, but I didn't get a chance to do, which I think the question was answered, it's a very good chance we are underpaying that position, as we were with the town clerk tax collector's deputy. So I would feel comfortable with this.
Okay. Further discussion?
And in the end, it's up to the voters.
Eric?
My concern is that she's an elected official, and so she runs knowing what the salary is, just like when you interview for a position, you know what the salary is. And I just feel, okay, next time she's up for election, if she loses to someone, if someone runs against her, if she loses, we're going to get an inexperienced town clerk tax collector, because the salary is going to be budgeted for $60,000. Yes.
You have to remember the election comes on Tuesday, and the budget doesn't get voted on until Saturday. So let's say if she was up this year, say she doesn't choose to run, and you have a whole group of people in the running, and you got a newbie, and they now can go to town clerk, tax collector, anywhere. You have on Saturday the opportunity, the legislative body, anybody can make the motion, trust me, one of the selectmen would if nobody else did, to adjust what the budget committee has recommended and lower that wage according to the skills and experience
Any year.
that the new candidate, the new elected official would have. The election always comes first.
I'm just having a hard time justifying giving someone a 16% raise. And
You have
But you're not.
You have a highway department, a head of the highway, head of the department, making around $68,000. You have a town administrator that's making just over $70,000. And you have a finance manager that's in charge of, finances, that's making $68,000. And she's making $51,000. And she's in charge of millions and millions of dollars, and has more time frames and time-sensitive deadlines in her job every day.
Catherine?
You have to remember she's not an employee, so there's no raise. You can adjust her salary, but there's no raise. The law doesn't allow us to give her a raise. She's an elected official, and with that comes far more responsibilities to the state and the townspeople than even the town administrator has.
And I think one of the points too, you're saying, we put it at X and then she doesn't run or she loses or somebody else is in there. I think one of the things we have to ward against is that not being a job that someone wants. And like I was saying earlier, when I looked at the other towns where I compared different salaries, those other towns don't have the commercial base that we have. Some might have a little bit, but not nearly the Walmart and Steeplegate and Staples and,
We have a motion on the floor for the 124, 126, 751. I'm going to make a motion to amend that number to 124, 751, and that would be to reflect 58,000 as opposed to the 60.
Okay.
Everyone wants to second that?
I would like to vote on the first motion to begin with.
I'm making a motion to amend that.
Okay. Jules, you had a question, let me do that.
Seconded.
I'll just second that.
Okay. There is a
It would be $2,000 less, so it'd be 124, 751.
motion is on the floor to amend. John, restate your motion, please.
To amend the motion that John had, the number to 124, 751.
Okay. Everyone understand the motion at this point in time? Is there discussion on that motion?
I have a concern about that, in that if we lower by $2,000 and the voters do agree with that number, I guess we could take it from other departments, but this isn't a very big department to be able to adjust things around. I mean, the top two line items cannot be adjusted.
The motion was to lower the total expenditure $2,000. It wasn't specific to what line.
Right. Where could this group
That-
find it?
No, I think
Well-
John said you wanted to amend that specific line item.
The specific line.
From 60,000 to 58.
Yeah, I'm amending that bottom line number by taking out $2,000 from the 60,000 to be 58.
Okay. Further discussion?
Call the question.
If there are no further discussion, those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The
Aye.
Those
amendment.
opposed? Go ahead,
Aye.
sir.
We're voting on the amendment.
Just the amendment, to go from 60,000 to 58. Those in favor, please say aye.
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 Those opposed, nay. Nay.
Nay.
I'd like a show of hands. Those that are voting for that amendment, please raise your hand. We have 1, 2, 3. Those against that are voting against that motion, please raise your hands. 4, motion has failed. Going back to the original motion, is there further discussion on the original motion?
And that's for the 126, 751, correct?
Correct.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's back, and that was made by John. John, restate your motion, please.
I'd like to make a motion to accept, to fund at $126,751.
Okay. Questions? Everyone understand the motion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay.
Nay.
Okay, ayes have had it. I had the motion, therefore we have, go on to the next section.
That was quick.
Finance. Questions or discussions around the finance department? Or finance budget, excuse me, department, we have questions. Finance budget. We carry debt service, right, on us. There's a couple bonds that are still out. Is that coming down? And when will they be completed?
Is the next one, 2016.
Okay,
What year?
Next year.
Okay,
next year?
that's where,
And that will reflect in that, the following budget,
Next year.
next year, the reduction? Okay.
Those are bonds.
Any idea what that savings will be at that point in time, or what revenue that would?
Is it around 80? On $80,000 a year.
Okay, good. Good. If nothing happens, right?
Always
Right.
something comes up.
Stan,
I have a question, but I think I know the answer to the question.
that would be good.
The finance director, which on the update of unaudited that Tim sent, I think it should say salary finance director, 66,000, it's line 10-130, and it says that it was over $998, which is 101%. Would that be where merit raises go from one line item into the other?
Good job.
Okay.
You've got this system down.
Well, I even highlighted, I'm like, well, I think I found that, figured that one out.
John,
I'm chasing down his information here. Which, are you looking at the actual current year expenditures, or are you looking at?
This is the unaudited December year 2014, what has been spent.
those are the expenditures.
It's just a more updated one than this one.
Yeah, I'm looking at that. That's under financial, what line number?
Fourth one down,
Finance
10-130.
Director?
I think it should say salary/finance director,
7.
right? And it was budgeted at 66, year-to-date 67, almost 6, which is 101%.
This is a good extra $1,000
$1,000.
was spent.
I believe it's a difference in health insurance.
So 67.5.
Could be a,
Could be a different plan.
Further discussion on finance?
Well, just, if it was health insurance, wouldn't it be reflected in the health insurance line for town hall?
Not buyout.
A buyout, yeah.
Oh, gotcha.
Stan,
Is that the reason why the selectmen decided on 68.5, which is $1,000 more for next year? Because right now, we're at $1,000 more than was budgeted last year. And we're looking at next year being an additional $1,000 more.
that could be if it's, we do have a buyout plan.
Why you did the salary in there, the expenditures is what he gets, but the budget amount is his salary only. I mean, that's his salary with his that would include the merit last year. That
So
would-
we're anticipating.
Right, that would be the difference.
So we are raising this by $1,000 in the thought that because there's no merit pool line in this, right? And there is,
yeah, he's under the
It's
admin.
under the admin merit pool.
It's the
so
mayor-
we're adding an extra 1,000 in the thoughts that a merit pool is going to go up,
Right.
yet there's no.
He's already earned that.
So that $998 couldn't have been from a
If
merit
he
pool.
made $66,000 last year, and in July got a 2.5% raise, that's what would be reflected in the 2015 budget.
So it would be at the 101% for this year, but it got budgeted at exactly, pretty much, yeah, exactly within cents, $1,000 more. So shouldn't that be 67,586?
I think we need to separate it. The $100, yeah, okay. She's comfortable.
You get, you know,
Yep. Eric?
You said earlier that merit raises get put into the budget It still doesn't so is it health insurance that's causing him to be $1,000 over budget? Okay.
We still have a buyout plan, which works out well, that,
Well, that's what we're asking, why this is where it is,
I
where,
don't know if
yeah.
that's the exact
And I think
issue,
on
but
this,
it could be one of the issues.
It just seems like kind of ironic that the finance director is $1,000 over budget in his budget.
is also our IT guy.
Well, your budget is.
Yeah. So, but as we're looking at the budget
Health insurance.
for 2015, his salary is going up
3%.
about 3%,
and I think that's what it is.
or 2.5% or whatever it is.
But-
Look at the 2014 budgeted amount. The 2015 budgeted amount should be 3% more.
So taking those, leaving the expenditures alone and just dealing the budget itself.
Yep.
The increase is just the merit raise that he earned this year that's being applied for next year.
No.
$1,000
Yeah.
last year
No,
was-
well, then we have it in two different spots.
Yeah.
No, when you get a merit raise,
Right.
that merit raise is not for that year. That money is a
Sure it is.
buyout,
6 months.
6 months.
Okay.
And it's 6 months. So the merit raise, this, I've never agreed with why we do merit raises.
July to December, and then December to July.
Right.
Right. What I'm saying is, for this position, we won't say he, she, we all know who it is, but for 2014, we'll go with the number 66. This year, because of a merit raise, we think it went up of $998 to $67,500.
Right.
Next year, we're budgeting for $68,500 in the anticipation.
No.
So how
That
did,
merit raise pool won't be distributed until July 1st, and it'll be for a year, from July 1st, 2015 to July 1st, 2016.
16.
So you're only getting half on each budget.
The merit,
so next year, full year, if he didn't get another merit raise, his raise would end up being $998 doubled.
That $1,000 difference last year was a pay time off buyout. So the employees have an opportunity, if you've been here for so many years, after 7 years, there's a percentage of your paid time off that you accrue each month that you can buy out either at the end of the year or half the year. And then there's only a percent, 40 hours that you can, 50 hours that you can carry over.
Okay.
So that was a one lump sum buyout.
So if a merit raise would be not based on that amount,
that
that
has
would be
nothing to
based
do
on the
with it.
original amount, that's a separate thousand.
It's almost treated like a bonus. It's a one-time payment.
It's his vacation pay. when he
Right,
bought
what
out.
it-
That's
yeah.
what it is. Right.
And that happens in most government agencies. It happens in the federal level.
So then taking the
Yeah.
vacation.
Okay, further discussion on the finance department budget. Hearing none, the chair will entertain a motion to utilize the numbers approved, that have been approved by the selectmen as our numbers.
So moved.
I'll make a motion to accept the finance department of $579,127.
Second.
Second.
Second. Motion duly made and seconded. Any more discussion?
I would just like to see that on that line item, 10-130, I don't know if it's a typo, but I think it should say salary dash finance director.
Okay. Pat, you will... Excellent.
It's a typo type of thing.
No, that's
Or
fine.
it might be that it shouldn't.
John or Pat?
I wouldn't- Yeah.
I'm sorry, or Catherine?
Yeah.
So you want to talk to Tim, see if he would
If it
like
should say that or
rename
not.
it as finance director /
If
salary.
it's titled properly.
Well,
Finance director
What
salary.
Stan is saying is you see salary land use, salary IT, salary...
Right, salary police
town
chief.
It should be-
Salary highway,
Mm-hmm.
and what he would like to see is salary
Salary
finance.
finance.
Or whether it should be or not, and if there's a
Yeah.
reason why it's not.
It doesn't,
That's tomorrow night.
yep. It doesn't seem like a problem. Can ask Tim if there's some special reason, consult with him and change it. I agree.
All right. Moving on to information technology.
We didn't know.
Oh, excuse me, I didn't vote, I was just enraptured. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please nay. The ayes have had it. My voice is going, but that's okay. Information technology. You, I'm allergic to Catherine. Information technology, please review.
It's the salary IT director. Stan.
This one,
Right.
this one has it. I do have a question. Since our position is finance director, IT director together, is that person able to do merit raises in both? Or is it just on whatever the IT director's primary job is? Okay, so he doesn't get to double dip.
IT is a part-time position.
Our time, okay.
But we don't want you to think that it is together. It just happens to be the same employee.
Right.
The job was structured and the job description is structured that anyone, if, God forbid, but if Tim left today, there would be somebody else
Right.
coming in and it would not be a
Then that's why,
That's our finance.
Right.
position,
Right.
separate.
and that's why I wanted to preface that the person that's now doing both is only able to collect the merit raise on his primary function
And benefits.
and benefits only from that
They come
primary.
off too,
Right.
separate.
This does no benefits to it because it's part-time.
Discussion. Eric? Oh, almost a hand.
According to hardware, and I don't remember what the cost is, but there's an inclusion in here for body cameras. Has the town established a policy or protocol for the operation?
The chief, no. The answer is no to that, but the chief is bringing our policy into us to establish one.
I worry about invasion of privacy issues. It seems to be a big hot button topic with body cameras.
We'd love for you to come to that meeting.
I think the chief did give us a little bit of a briefing on it, and one of the things that he brought out, and he's going to present the whole thing, is that with the body cameras, basically general public, you're out in the public and you're doing things, you can have them on. If you go enter somebody's premises, you can't turn them on unless they give you permission to,
Right.
in private property.
And I think this, and not to cut off discussion, but we're going to be talking about this when the police budget, get that, all this materials within
No,
the
but
police.
it's in the
It's
IT,
in
but,
IT also?
no, that's where it
It
is.
That's where it is.
Your computer, all of your cameras, all of your printers,
Here.
everything. is
All phone.
IT For police,
IT.
highway, and town hall. So when you're thinking IT, you have to think of all of the town of Tilton.
Okay, so we will not see within the budget a line item in the police department for body cam,
No.
You will see it in IT,
only in IT.
right?
Okay,
What
go
is-
ahead, continue, sir.
Pretty
When
normal
is that,
for towns.
when is, it's a two-part question. When is that presentation?
We'll let you know.
What-
He's gone back to the chief of police association to get the protocol that's been set out by the U.S. attorney and by the, what do you call him now?
Do we?
Attorney General.
And wow, I can't talk tonight. What was the cost of those body cameras?
They,
Of the $12,780 in that department request, what dollar value is the body cameras?
I think they're about $900.
Peace.
A piece, but how many are we getting?
John, any idea? Any idea?
You know, Tim presented a à la carte, well, not an à la carte, he had absolute have-to-do stuff, stuff that's necessary to keep operating, and then stuff to get everything going right, you know, and what we want, like good, better, best. And the one that's reflected in here is the system and all the hardware to get everything going the way the chief would like it. If you want some more information, we could ask him to present it to us. We do have time to change this number or amend it because we have 2 public hearings. We can change it after the public hearing and do that if you want to look at more information on it.
Catherine, you
Body cameras are estimated at $4,100.
thank you. I figured I'd move on while you were figuring it out. John, and then I'll go.
There's only 4 body cameras.
Only 4. So each one is about
About
$1,000.
$1,000.
John?
Is there any reason that all of this, until a policy is drafted, vetted, and approved, at that time, if it's decided to move forward with, is there any reason why these cannot be paid for out of the police revolving fund?
Presently, one of the things that's in there is we have plans to replace a police cruiser out of the police revolving fund this year, so we wouldn't be able to take it out of that. This amount would not be able to come out of that, or we'd have to not get the police cruiser that we need.
Catherine?
That's part of it. We have dedicated the revolving fund to try to buy just the cruisers out of. But depending on how many details they might have, there could be money in there to purchase other items, other equipment.
Right.
But it's a yes, so,
I'm just wondering, are we asking you to approve money for something we don't know if we're really getting?
pardon?
I'm just wondering if we're approving money for something that we're not 100% sure we're really getting.
Yes, everything, a lot of things on this budget are things, you know, we send them out, we put prices in, things that we need, and they go out for bids, we have what they're going to cost, and yeah, it could turn out that we don't get them, there's some kind of snafu on it, and we don't get them, but we have to put in the budget now, or we'd have to take away from something else.
And my understanding is, even if they don't get the body cameras, the money's there, they could be doing another project, utilizing that money within that line item.
We don't typically,
Because it doesn't say specifically body cameras. What it says is hardware and
Hardware.
software.
Problem is we haven't got a foolproof camera system.
But I'm saying, even if you, Yeah.
These cameras,
what I'm saying is that even what we're buying, what we're budgeting is hardware and software.
Exactly.
How you use the hardware money, how you use the software money is not within the purview of this budget. We're setting up the pool from which you can draw from. So whatever projects you have can come from those items.
Yes, Wayne, however, it's also the intent, and when we present to you a list and say, these are the things that we would like to do this year with this list, we try to stay pretty close with it. And if there's got to be a good reason why we're not going to
Right.
do that, especially a large dollar amount like that. If we say we're going to go out and get 4 body cameras, yes. The one thing we're not going to do is, we would not do that unless we have a policy in place first, which we will do.
Right.
Because that's what we want.
But what I'm saying
Not
is-
just for the public,
Right.
but for the safety of the officer.
This budget is set up with, different from other budgets, and there is not a detail page, which
can have that.
specifically breaks down.
They gave it to you already. They gave you a detail when Tim and the police were here. They
Yeah,
gave
they
you
did.
detail of what they were
Right,
expecting.
but within the budget, at the 4 corners of this budget, there is no detail section saying that this is what the money is going to be used for, other than in the tax collector, which actually, she broke it down to A, B, C, D, and E. and told us exactly which each line item is being used for at that point in time. So as I'm looking at the budget, I'm looking at software expenses, hardware expenses, how you spend that money.
But if you look at hardware under A, it says includes cost of body cameras, which is partly hardware, partly services on a 5-year contract.
Okay.
On your same page, don't you have that?
I do have that.
Okay, so that's the intent.
But I think what Wayne,
Wayne is correct. You have to remember, what town meeting approves is a bottom line.
Right.
budget.
Oh, I agree
Right.
with that.
I'm not saying that I have no control.
Here to any of those.
Right, and so what I'm saying at this point in time is, even though it's being presented, that money, if approved, certainly can be used for other items that are needed, so we're looking at, one, the bottom line, and how the pool is breaking down, not what the specific programs are within that line item.
or how they're run, because it's not our purview to get involved in the policy.
We've just tried to give you information.
That's it.
How we came up with the figures, why we came up with
And how we base our decision at the bottom line.
My concern on the IT department in general is big picture. Because I remember last year's discussions and talking about IT, it was a new department. And what we were talking about was, well, the first year, we're modernizing the town, there's a lot, it's going to be a lot of expenses the first year. Hardware will be, higher than normal. We're going to take items from other areas, so that should go down, and that's why 2014, we went from 107,000 budgeted down to 85,000. It actually was 75,000, which actually got expended, and now we're back up to $107,000.
I think, what's the
The
actual...
question we had last year for IT was, when does it stop? Because that's the problem with IT, is the more becomes the more, becomes the more. If the software, and that's why when we start talking about body cameras, or is there there's a 5-year contract on some hardware, $8,000 for software, the maintenance will be almost $1,000. Well, if that software company says, oh, by the way, we're tripling our, that's my big concern, is the big picture on IT isn't going down. It's going right back up to as if we're modernizing the town all over again. Is there justification on it with body cameras? It's just big picture concern that IT could get out of control, and it can get out of control real fast, because the more cameras you buy, the more hardware you need to keep the data for those cameras. This file that we got sent is very small because it's just a document. A picture is millions of dots. A video is thousands of millions of. So how big is the hardware going to have to get to save this? Is that all part of the program? My question with IT in general is, where's it going to stop?
John?
One of the things we could do is ask for, a breakdown. Tim has that, and look at it, and get some questions, and, determine what we want.
Right.
I mean,
I agree with modernizing the town, but big picture, somebody has to get the point across that.
Jane? Did you have something?
No, I'm just,
You were ready to,
oh, no,
Pat?
no.
Hey, the body cameras are in a program very similar to what we just purchased with the tasers. You can get 12 cameras, there's no charge for the cameras. However, like Stan said, the charge is for the yearly, for the storage, it's $46.99 for year 2, year 3 is $52.99, and it goes on. That's for, if they drop, they get replaced, they're charging for the evidence plan and storage. The newest quote shows the first year at $47.53.66. The regular price on the cameras are $5.99. So we're getting the cameras. What he's saying is there's no charge on the cameras. They're charging for evidence, plans, and storage. The newest quote is the first year. The regular price is $599 each. There is a 5-year deal, like they replace if they're broken. And then year 2, it's $46.99. Year 3 is $52.99. Year 4 is $58.99.
So
So in some PDs, they don't use the in-car cameras. They don't use those at all. They just use the body cams. Like in Hinsdale, they just use the body cams. They come off and then set in a charger. Most of the hardware is the storage, like you said, the computer storage.
And that's, is it a system that we're buying? Like, is that data gonna tax our IT? Or is it a system where this camera is on a system where, you know, all the towns use the same system, and if they have to get evidence for a certain time? My question is, the data storage, is that part of what we're paying for?
That's all
Yes.
premises,
We're gonna-
isn't it?
Storage is part of what we're paying.
We'll be
Okay.
paying a
All right.
yearly fee for
Because that's
that.
the scary part.
Right.
You know, like we were talking about when we went to the police department, and we were talking about, I forget, the radios. They had old Motorola radios that lasted 25 years. The new radios, because they're modern, are probably only going to last 4 or 5 before they're outdated. And then Tim had to add more servers to something because of, you know, I don't want to give details of what the police department does, but it's just, the bigger gets bigger, and the bigger gets bigger, and the bigger gets bigger, and the bigger gets bigger. And that's the concern of, you know, we've modernized, we were seeing a nice decline the second year. We're always going to have a lot of, the software budget will be high because of things, you know, like the tax collectors software and the et cetera software. But now, my concern is something that didn't exist 4 years ago is now a $100,000 line item, and I'm concerned about the growth of that.
It did exist, partials of it, as in your copier,
Right.
computers and that. You know, like you said, you know, you can look at the software and the cost, and that includes annual subscription fees and updates and that. Like I said, probably the best thing to do is to look at a detail to understand, you know, more what it's going for, but
Eric?
John, is the increase in our bandwidth and our collection, from what I understand, just knowing personal knowledge, video takes up huge amounts of storage. So the storage is going to happen off-site? It'll be at some remote
that's what we
location?
have. It's a
through them,
system.
they have that. We
So
have-
it's at some server somewhere out in the
Yes,
world,
there-
there's going to be a
and
little
that's part of
space
our-
for the Tilton Police Department.
That's part of our subscription.
Yeah,
Okay.
see, I think that's what
But that's our bandwidth, so are we going to have enough, I guess is this request going to give us enough bandwidth and maybe a little extra wiggle room just in case we're producing more video than we're ever going to realize we're going to produce now? And just be prepared so that if we need, you know, a pipe that's this big, we're not dealing with a pipe that's this big.
The recent upgrades to our bandwidth, as well as we have a grant that came through, just got approved of $10,000 for MetroCast to redo the police station, and there's also money to redo the town hall. This is all on a grant from MetroCast to supply all that. They're going with the CAT 6E.
I thought we had that last year to do the police department.
We were looking for the grant last year
Yeah.
and looked to get it, and it just finally went through last week,
Last
2 weeks?
week.
Last week. It
Well,
took
I thought it
that
was-
long.
I thought they were supposed to do it in 2014.
Well, there was a change of personnel.
If we approved we were all in a group of towns that renegotiated their contract with the towns.
Right.
And that was all part of it, and they just finished that in late November, December, and then we had to decide whether or not we were going to sign it or not, and then that came to fruition. The $10,000 Tim had to write it and then get it approved. It got approved, and we actually just got the check. So he can recable the entire town hall, recable the entire PD with that monies. And that will allow us to do what Tim is anticipating to do next year, is to change the phone system at the PD. Because right now, it is antiquated, you can't add phones onto it, and sometimes
Did we do a new phone
Going
system?
to complete, go to
it
view,
goes to a busy signal.
voice over
Can't
internet.
fax, so they're gonna go to a voice over IP system, which is in the budget, and that's what he refers to
C.
Communication.
Services.
is the end of the voice over IP, which also include, also in the grand picture of that is the cameras and the video and all of
I
that.
believe dedicated wire has already been installed from Town Hall to the police station to link those systems. That might be what you were thinking about for last year.
Okay.
And now we're doing the infrastructure in the buildings.
I just want to make sure that we're,
We will have, that was one thing that was, as
Okay.
long as we update our internal stuff, we'd be all set to connect to the,
To kind of get us back on task, I would make a motion that we fund the Informational Technology Department at $107,407.
Second.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Moving on to land use, your favorite place.
just one more thing. Did anybody want any information on any of that IT stuff?
Joe just been coming to talk about consortium.
Why?
Did you want any more information? Okay.
Now, the land use, Pat, Catherine, or John, the land use person is going to become a full-time position? It's going from part-time to full-time.
If approved, in this budget and at town meeting, he'll become a full-time.
And his salary would be 43, or his or her salary, I have to be politically correct,
Department-
still politically correct, 43,680, that's without benefits,
No, it's with
with the benefits altogether. So that's salary and benefits
Yes.
together.
Yep.
And it'd be full-time, so this person would become eligible for the merit
Yes,
system.
yes.
Okay.
One thing I mean, Dari does a great job pulling this all together. One of the big things that's going to be going on is coordinating everything together. Over many, many years, we've had, a lot of our files are in different offices and different files. A lot of this is going to be all done electronically, and he's going to get that system in line. And he's on top of this stuff.
Okay.
He's really good with the planning board, and
What made the select board decide to go from part-time to full-time?
he was working 32 hours. He was actually sticking around a lot more than that, attending the meetings. And part of it is we're looking to go and remove some of the duties of Avatar that we're contracting out, and taking that on at a savings, and have it done more in-house, and that's what he would be doing if this does go through.
Catherine?
He was hired as part-time to mainly the land use assistant.
Assessors.
But with that job, there's the 911 system, and so the filing has to be done, brought up to date. But since he became part-time, we've discovered his skills and capabilities, and we're going to take advantage of those. The 911 system has to be corrected. Main Street is a mess, and he'll be highly involved in correcting that.
Eric?
And then maintaining it.
A lot of things need to be put on file. It's old papers, and nothing has been put on file at all for a long time. I think it's a really good move, and there's several of us on the planning board, I think, that see it as a very good move. he has skills that we're very fortunate to have.
Good. Further discussion? If none, I will make a motion that we accept the funding level for land use at $88,133.
Second.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Public Works. Meat and potato stuff.
Okay, I'm going to make a motion that we amend the 1-82-4311.20-226 Highway Merit Raise Pool from $4,234 to $3,387, which,
What was it, 387?
3387.
Thank you.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Hold on.
Okay.
You want to know page?
Second.
Okay. Joel seconds.
Okay, so I'll explain that. That is the same thing, the change it to 2% from the 2.5% that we, same reasons as in the administrators, what we discussed in that.
Okay.
It's a decrease, I can give you the amount. You need the amount, how much that number is?
847.
847.
Discussion. Hearing no discussion. John, would you restate the motion, please?
Motion is to change highway merit raise pool line number 266 from $4,234 to $3,387.
Okay? Everyone understand the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we'll need a hand raising at this point in time. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4. Those opposed, raise your hand. 1, 2, 3. Motion is carried. Eric?
I'd like to make a motion to change line item 0182431199,370 highway equipment rental. I'd like to make a motion to lower that by $1,000 to $1,500.
Okay. Hold on for a second. Is there a second to the motion?
Wait a minute, I'm not sure okay, I see it. No, okay.
Is there a second to the motion? Hearing no second to the motion, move on to further discussion.
Well, there was no
No, there's
second
no
on it,
second, so
so
the motion
it just
fails.
goes there.
Motion made. Okay, motion.
Okay.
But I'd like to just make comment, we have a lot of sidewalks that need major amounts of repairs, and that is going to be the big thing this year, is repairing sidewalks. We're about 2 years behind, and that's going to be renting some equipment in order to do that in-house as opposed to subcontracting it out, which would cost a lot more money. Is
Since the motion has not
that what
been
you were going to
seconded.
say?
The motion has not been
Getting good.
seconded, the explanation has been
Learning.
given. Let's move on to the next item.
Can I ask
Yes,
a question?
Jules.
Gas, diesel, seeing that the gas prices are down, I know it's, now how does that factor in? It's,
The contract, I think it's,
you can't change it, you're locked in?
John?
Yeah, unfortunately, well, it's sometimes fortunately and sometimes unfortunately, we purchase gas from, basically, it's along with Northfield and the school district, and we own our own tanks over by the Public Works Fire Department, Public Works Department over in Northfield. Works great when gas prices are up there. When they've plummeted so quickly like they have here, we're still going on the thing. They've gone down some, but not the exact as they have. One of that also includes a fee that we put in there in order to seal up and close the tanks or repair it. I think there's only like $22,000 in that now. And there is discussion of stopping doing that system because of the costs and closing them up and getting us out of things. So if we were going to get gas somewhere else, we're still going to be paying for that tank and that. So
Jules, does that answer your question?
it's unfortunate.
Thank you.
That's what I kept saying the same thing. Why don't we just get a charge card and go to Irving? But we're still going to have to pay for that tank.
When is that contract done?
Oh, technically, we'd have another 10 years on the tank before we'd have to do anything, but we are looking at getting it done
Sooner.
sooner. But it's all involves the school district and coordinating it with Northfield and Tilton. And- And the fire.
Yes.
And the water. So I
Those
think
big
we're
gas
looking at
stations.
getting out of the gasoline business.
Okay. Further discussions or changes to the Public Works budget?
Thought it was something like
I
that.
just have a question. Are we sure that the sidewalk construction is actually going to happen this year? Because it seems like it's been budgeted $3,000, spent $400. 2013, $3,000, spent $700. Last year, $3,000, spent $2,500, or $9,000, spent $2,500. Now we're at $9,000 again. Are we sure it's going to happen?
Yeah, there's no way around it. This is going to happen. We cannot, there are other things that came up, and you could probably list some of the other things, but, you know, we discussed this with Dennis and with Arthur. This is going to get done, and it also includes around the building out here, and then there's a couple of them that need, you know, the ramps and all that. We did do some sidewalk work through the center of town. We did some handicap ramps.
Park Street,
Park Street, yep.
the intersection of Park Street and Main Street, we had to fix that ramp.
And, but this, yeah, the selectmen are adamant about assuring
And
that that does get done.
Yeah, and I asked that also because the department actually asked for $4,000, but the selectmen boosted it to $9,000.
Because of the school street work, because that addition of school street work that needs to be done, the drainage.
Okay.
Further changes or discussions?
Just another one.
Yes, go ahead, Eric.
Salt and sand. We've never come close to spending. We've always seemed to be way under budget. Last year, we were, in 2012, we were $13,000 under budget. 2013, we were $8,000 under budget, and last year, we were $7,000 under budget.
When things came up, as you know, that's a tough thing.
No, trust me, I know, and I was
But,
thinking that the other day.
this-
as the
just this
sand
year,
trucks go by.
there's been shortages and massive price hikes.
fluctuates.
I forget the percentage, that you can defer to Catherine. Yep,
Yeah, also-
substantially.
Yeah, and also the price fluctuates from good month to month sometimes.
Dennis and Arthur stocks up.
Yes, but we, at the end of this year, we may not have Dennis.
Yeah, Arthur's right there in the training, so he's been there.
We will not have Dennis, so we have Arthur, so Arthur's got lots of good skills, but they may be a different skill set than what we have at this point in time.
Salt and sand is very unpredictable. We used more salt this year than we did last year.
That's not good for the environment.
It's very unpredictable, so you have to,
Well, especially after this past weekend.
some towns ran out of it.
Further discussions or changes?
Another one.
Go ahead, Eric.
Sorry. Recycling. It seemed to have been, it seems to be on a downward trend, but then this year it's going back up.
Increase.
Next,
Yeah, go ahead, that's it.
we did another one, we had the amnesty week in
Right, that's what I
spring.
thought.
We
That's right.
added an amnesty
Yep.
week in the fall,
Oh.
and that's what the extra money is.
So there'll be another one in October or whatever it
The
is.
general public wanted that extra one in the fall, and we added it last year without the budget, and this year we have to put it in the budget.
Stan?
I'd also like to commend this department for on each budget, what they were budgeted and what their expenses were is actually lower than what they budgeted. So if they do save money on salt, it's not padding it seems like they're not padding the budget and, commendable to them.
And they're also working with a tremendous cut this year because their overtime budget, if you take a look at their overtime budget,
Yeah.
was cut by $6,000. So they came in under 6% and are taking a $6,000 cut in overtime, which may come back to bite us, depending on the weather, but
When I talked to Mother Nature, I asked her to only come Monday through Friday between 7 and 3,
Okay.
so.
You're requesting more snow though, Eric, so you
I
can't.
don't know, so I just,
Statements, just so it doesn't come back to bite me. We increased the monies this year because we always had a spring and a fall, but the fall, we collect as much of the things as we do in the spring. In the spring, in the fall, we used to limit what we could collect. It's both equal now, so it's a lot more money that we need to do.
correction accepted.
Thank you.
Further changes or discussions? If not, what is our bottom line number, Eric?
985,000, we've only had one change, right?
Right.
Okay.
One change,
I
John?
want to make sure I didn't.
Yeah.
What was it?
$985,534.
85, 30.
985534.
I move that we...
Wait, 985534?
985534.
I make a motion to accept that number as the final number for the highway departments. Is there a second?
Second.
Joel, second. Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Next, police budget.
Dun, 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 dun.
Okay, motion to change, blah, 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 dash 266 PD merit raise pool from 3414 to 2731.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Eric seconds. Discussion.
Same thing, just to match up with the other departments at the 2%. And this is for the non-union employees.
Pat?
May I ask John a question on how he calculated it? Did you take the individual salaries, or did you just take the lump sum and take off 0.5%?
I had Tim do it.
Okay.
Okay.
Cheated.
Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Nay. Okay, raise of hands, please. Those that signified by aye, please raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4. Those nay. 4 to 3, motion carries. Further changes or discussion of the police budget?
So,
Yeah, Eric?
it's just probably just more of an educational question, but what is a compensated absence?
It's a
Paid time
PTO, something that, a benefit that they earn, that they get paid for. It could be, we have a, if somebody in the family passed, we give them a couple days, I think, right?
I'm just curious, because we didn't spend any of that in 2014 yet. We increased the budget by $2,000.
Which line item we looking at?
Oh, I'm sorry,
It's the last bit.
265.
I mean, in
What is that?
2012, it was almost it was $21,000
Budgeted.
budgeted.
Who's that?
20-265.
Or 5 lines down, for those of you that count.
I wonder if the, was that to buy out?
No, that can't be.
Catch that. Compensated absences. Year to date. Police department. And I'm looking at year-to-date is 0. I think what that was.
Compensated absences?
Yeah,
I'm trying to think of how to explain it.
Just blurt it out.
Well, no, I'm more curious, we didn't spend anything in 2014, so,
I'm surprised that we didn't.
but now
I'm
we've,
wondering if it just hasn't showed up yet in the expenses, because typically something comes at the end of the year.
what is that? Buyout?
Uncompensated absences,
Is it the
FMLA.
buyout?
Some of the buyout.
It's a combination of a lot of different things.
There was, I know there was a buyout, right at the end of the year.
How would buyout be in that line item?
Yeah,
It isn't a buyout.
no,
Can't be.
It's, I'm just gonna call it odd absences. It's like, I know the Public Works doesn't get it, but it has to do with the police because it's an emergency function. So if they're on vacation, they're called in.
oh, okay, so it's callback pay.
Compensated for, because they really should be on vacation, so they're not paid at a regular rate. It's some of that,
So-
that kind of thing.
for instance,
Or-
if Officer Jones, I hope we don't have an Officer Jones, is on vacation, he gets subpoenaed to show up in court.
Yeah, or, you know, if I'm taking Christmas off, and, you know, and then I get called in on Christmas, well, I'm going to get paid at the regular rate, I'm going to get paid at the holiday rate, and then because I was called in on a holiday, I'm going to get paid more.
And my
But we only
experience,
do it with the police because it's emergency, but that's why I'm surprised
It hasn't been used.
that's not in there. It doesn't say zero, it's just nothing there, so. I'm
Well,
thinking
nothing's
that-
been expended this year.
actually, I could
I
take
see it
a,
as
we might have it in here. I think also with, friends who are police officers, I think they, and this is just speculation on my point, but I think like a police officer who has to be 100% physically ready for work, like, we can go to work with, a limp. I can go to my office where it's not a sick day, but, physically unable to perform possibility or something like that, I forget what they call there's an actual term for it, and I forget what it was, but, like an average person can go to work without being, at 80% capability, but a police officer really can't. So I don't know if that's possibly what it is.
John, for our next
2265.
meeting, could you kind of have a breakdown of what that actually entails?
Year-to-date expenses on 2265 is 0 as of the December update.
I'm just, I mean, I have a hard time justifying increasing it by $2,000 if we didn't spend any of it.
Further discussion or changes for the police budget?
I'll get the information, and if you wish to, that's for the compensated now? Oh, okay. I was just about to send him an email, so, yeah. So we'll find out, and you could amend it if there's a issue.
Are there further questions or discussion? Okay, does the committee want to go past this for right now and then come back once we have that information. And
Leave it open for amendment.
Yeah.
we can move back to that, because we can go to Health and Human Services next, and then come back to police if that's acceptable to the board at the budget committee at this point in time. Do we have that information? All right, hearing nothing to the contrary, Health and Human Services. The significant event here, Pat, if I'm correct, was that the budget was reduced by how much?
Budget was, welfare budget was, general assistance was reduced by 10,000.
Okay.
I do have additional information that there is extenuating circumstances which the town is now going to have to pay for medicines for a person. Total amount is $2,600 a month until the state picks it up, in which will, is anticipating about 3 months, 90 days.
Okay.
So she's going to let us know by tomorrow if we have to increase, ask her to increase that back to that. So I'm just giving you a heads up on that.
Is that 2,600 per person, or is that,
That's one person.
Yeah,
that-
for meds.
that is coming out of the hospital that,
that's currently receiving assistance?
that's correct.
So it'll be $2,600
Funded mandate.
More.
a month for 3 months, so you're talking $7,000.
That's just for medicine.
Just,
There's other,
what kind of medicine costs $7,000?
We can't-
Easy.
Well, we can't get into those things either.
Okay, but anyways,
We've
medicine-
gone too deep into the,
We become, if there's no insurance, we pay the full value of those prescriptions that are coming out. And if you look at psychotropics, or you look at even basic care drugs, $2,600 is very quickly added up. So do we want, at this point in time, to look at that now, or look at it next week when we have further information?
I think we should look at it now.
Right.
John?
We didn't spend a lot in the 2014. There was discussion in reducing even less than the 40. So for the 40, even if we don't, we have to pay it. If we don't have enough, we have to raise appropriate funds. Still, we have to have a special meeting.
You want to have a special town meeting and raise and appropriate funds? Is that what I heard
For-
you say?
but if you know, sitting
That
before
costs
you,
$4,000.
ahead of time, that you're going to have approximately a $9,000 bill coming in within the next couple of months, would you not take appropriate action on that before the budget comes out? That's my question.
Okay, my thoughts are the amount actually spent last year, when it was a very bad year. This year,
What was a bad
That
year?
was a bad year.
economy-wise and all that, we saved a lot of money. We had 50,000. We spent well under that. 2014, we don't know if these funds are reimbursable. These things come in, there's a lot less expense for fuel this winter so far, and the fuel prices have gone down, so we're basing fuel prices on what we used to pay in previous. And I'd say leave it where it is.
Catherine?
We're very,
Right now, the fuel prices may have gone down. The cap has run out of fuel assistance money, so for those in need, it's a very bad year for fuel. I know as health officer, the calls I'm getting a week because people are out of fuel and don't have money to buy fuel have been far more than they have in the past 5 years. And I have to send them all to the welfare director because I can't help them.
Stan?
also make a note on that line 10-920, where we're talking about general assistance. Every year, this is probably just like a lot of things, you have to estimate what it's going to be. And I commend this department on, every year, the budget, the expenditures are lower, it's an estimate to begin with, and it seems like it's a number that we're stuck with. We have to pretty much make a guess, and we have actually lowered it a substantial amount, even though each year it's been lower than what it was budgeted.
Yeah.
I don't see any extra, everything in here, salary is what it is. Like miscellaneous expenses is lower than what's budgeted. Administrative comes in lower than what's budgeted, so I give this department kudos for coming in lower than what was budgeted on each section. And something like general assistance,
I move that, the following, that we increase line item 0187444510,920 by $10,000, bringing it back to $50,000, and making the total Health and Human Service budget at $112,000, by adding a rough $112,855.
Second that.
There is a second. Further discussion?
I believe that's the number that we've been at each year. We've never hit that number, and this department seems to be under budget on each line item that is, not a salary or not something that's, structured.
You take just, and not for this discussion here tonight, but the Budget Committee, just take a look at the budget in Samerton, take a look at the budget in Belmont, and take a look at the budget in Northfield, and it will be an eye-opener to what we pay here. It is at least double. Conia's is $365,000.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think we should penalize the welfare director and the health officer for the efficient, good job they do in making use of other resources, which is what I think happens. That could go away tomorrow. And I find it very difficult to cut our budget down to where we are when we look at the requests that have come in from some of the private agencies. For instance, the Pines. I think that we need to take care of the people who come in here who are without heat, without electricity, without food, which is exactly what this department covers. So I am very comfortable raising it back to the $50,000. If she doesn't use it, then we have that much more. But I don't think she should be penalized for managing effectively.
Further discussion? John?
The department request was for $45,000. We've never even come close to the $45,000. It's just a pool that's there for if people need it. Nobody's ever needed it. The economy's getting better. And I can't see hitting up the taxpayers for an extra 10 grand that we typically don't use and won't be
Okay.
using it. We can always get it.
Further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
The
Aye.
motion being what?
The motion being that we, on line item
10,920.
01874, I got the right one, yes, 44510-920, we increase it from 40,000 to 50,000, back to the original, which would then increase the total for Health and Human Services to $112,855.
Can you clarify
Can
the
I
original?
amend
Yes?
that? I'd like to amend it to what the department requested at $45,000.
Type, is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, discussion.
And just a note that that's approximately what IT is asking for.
Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Those opposed? Motion carried, 45,000. Eric? Comes to a total of?
Hold on.
Right there under, I think, department request, no?
107,855?
You have to vote on the original motion. He amended the number.
Yeah.
He amended it to 40, okay?
He amended it to 45.
Yeah,
So the new number on the original motion is 45.
that is correct. Okay, so we now have to
Have to
vote
vote
on the
on that.
motion. Further, any discussion on the motion? The motion at this point in time, Stan?
Is to make line item 10-920 to the department requested $45,000.
Okay.
Correct? That's what the motion is?
Yep. Everyone understand the motion? All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Those opposed?
Yay.
Okay. Motion carries. Now, the new total for that line item is
For the whole budget.
the whole budget will be 107,855. I make a motion that we accept that as the bottom line number for Health and Human Services.
855.
855.
5-5.
107,855. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Discussion.
Then we're going to go down there.
Hearing no discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carried. Pat?
I have an answer for you on compensated absences.
Okay.
Compensated absence, when an officer is required to come in and work overtime, in some instances, at chief's discretion, he is allowed what they call comp time. He can take that at a later time. Now, at the end of the year, if you accumulate that time, you can buy it out.
Okay.
Okay? The selectmen, why you see nothing, as we put a stop in 2013, completely, not completely, 2013, we put parameters on it. And in 2014, it was at a bare minimum, almost nothing. You'll see that probably in...
It was nothing.
It's not nothing now. In December, that's when they usually cash it out.
Okay.
So you'll see that probably in January.
Well, that's, I've looked at the most recent update that Tim gave us.
The recent
That's not complete.
that doesn't include January. That's the recent update. It doesn't include...
Yeah, he even
all
said
of
on the
December.
email it's not finalized.
Right.
Well, he said other invoices, but I mean, so 16 days into the month, we wouldn't know what that dollar amount was?
As far as the paid time off and health and benefits and things like that, that you'll have that in your expenditure at the end of January.
That was the warning he gave us last time about going into February to get the invoices coming in.
He gave you as much as update.
Right, but this is a payroll issue, so it should have to reflect on their 2014 wages, wouldn't it?
Right, but those aren't due until January 31st.
Right. He's still working.
He has to prepare the, at the end of the year, he has so many things to do, like Department of Revenue Administration.
Okay?
But if you pay someone in January for that, that reflects on their
He just
2000.
hasn't reported it out so that he can
Right.
send it out to you.
Okay.
It's been done.
It's been done in December. It's been done probably in December. However, it's just not reported to the budget committee yet. That's the problem for us. Okay? There will be some, I'm sure. Not much at all, so if...
He did this report 12/17, so if he did it on 12/18, it's not in here.
Right.
So if you,
But we have an updated budget that was run on January 16th that shows zero expense for that. So even a month later, we still don't know how
It
much.
hasn't been logged into the system. It's paperwork right now.
Exactly.
if you
It's in
would...
the
But if we
payroll.
run it through payroll, doesn't automatically,
It's a payroll book. It's not in his computer system that he prints out. So if you wanted him to go through the payroll book and handwrite it all right out, he could do that.
well, it just seems like every other payroll that we've run is reflected in here, except for
Yeah.
this one little line.
Beyond regular payroll.
Okay.
They'll have to record it in the W-2s, but that...
But the W-2s is for all wages received up until December 31st.
That's what it
Correct,
is.
but they're not
Having
due.
said that, if you were to cut that, at least leave something in there, because if it does, it's an unpredictable thing. I mean, if we have an abundance of, we have to have everyone come in, and he decides that it's cheaper for the town to give him comp time around that time, if there's a crisis of some sort, then we're going to have some leeway. I would at least leave some in there so we can have a discussion, moving it from another department and putting it in there,
Good.
if it's needed.
Stan, you have a question?
I don't think so.
You don't think so? You have the look of a question, sir. You
I
have
got a
that-
million questions. If you want all my questions, we'll be here till midnight.
That's all right, you said that, look in the question.
No, I'm all right.
Did you want to get more information on that? Any type
Well, yeah, I guess I do.
from Tim to explain it?
I think it's been explained
He
to me
knows
just
what
fine.
it is, he just wants the final
Numbers.
figures.
He wants the numbers.
The final numbers?
Yeah, I
He
mean,
just wants the final
Right.
numbers, that's what he's looking for.
And he may have those
Or did we spend
numbers, he just can't
$5
publish
to
them
defend-
May
yet.
not have them till January
So,
31st.
final?
Next week?
Right.
Well, you can have an entry.
That's why I'm saying, if you were gonna cut something, at least leave some money in there so that...
well, I'm not saying, I don't want to cut the whole thing, but I'm having a hard time justifying something that, as of December 17th, we had spent zero on.
Right.
And as of even January 16th, we've spent zero on. We don't know what that number is, but we've increased it, so I guess I'm trying to see, is it between 3,000 and 5,000 that we spent? And then that would help me.
And again, to process this, we have a public meeting coming up that we as the board can sit and go back over. And hopefully by then, John, you'll have information for us to
The
make...
only thing now that I need, because we explained, Pat came up with the answer from Tim on the other question, right? That we had.
We just need the numbers.
The only question do you have is the final numbers?
Final expended...
Expenditure.
2014 expended for compensated absences.
For the line item. Eric will give you the line item.
Yeah.
How much did we spend in 2014?
Yeah, give him...
Compensated absences.
265,
Was it 265 on?
under the police department, yeah.
Okay. I make a motion that we accept the bottom line number for police at $2,029,312.
No, that's an adjusted.
$2,028,629. We cut the
We cut
Oh,
the-
merit
my
by
apologies.
683.
I take back the motion.
What was the total?
$2,028,629.
I make a motion with that number.
Merit pool by
supposed to stop me.
$683.
Well, I was trying to.
Stop it.
I didn't know where you were going. Second.
Okay? Discussion.
Just everybody realize, how much? Just everybody realize that's a $50,000 boost from last year. And
Health insurance
most of
is
it's
gone.
salary,
Yeah, and it's contract.
contract salary.
Contract
Okay.
salary. Further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Congratulations, folks, we're almost there. Almost. We have,
Did we ever vote on Health and Human Services final number? We were getting there.
yes, we did.
At
We got the
107,855?
Correct.
Yes. Culture and Recreation. I don't, but Parks never did. Did Parks ever make a presentation? I don't believe they did.
Yeah,
Oh, they did.
They came in, yeah.
I did?
Well, Patty did.
You did?
Did they?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll be here.
and I was part,
I was here last year when he came in.
I don't,
He came in, he wasn't going.
been a long year.
And then you asked for him to come in, and he came in. Same night as the sewer department, wasn't it? Yeah.
It was.
Goes
Yeah.
back in the beginning?
No, it
So
was,
the largest change we have in their budget is recycling has now changed its name
No. That was the week.
to the Green Committee.
No, that's recycling, yeah.
That's what we said.
That's what, recycling is now the Green Committee. And they're asking for a total, we're looking at 177,000?
We've already approved part of that budget. I think we take the Parks Commission as a line item itself, don't we?
Okay. We are looking at the Green Committee for 1,000, Park Commission expenses for 40,156, $2,000 for park maintenance on the island, $200 for Memorial Day, and $5,800 for the senior center. Am I correct? For a total of Eric?
Oh, wait, do you want me to subtract out the other ones?
177 minus 128.
What was 128?
To the right, which we already approved.
156.
We just make a motion to accept it in line with the selectmen proposed.
Second, discussion. Hearing no discussion, all those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed, nay. And I believe this is the last one, folks. The last one we're looking at is outside agencies. Any changes or discussions?
Did we already approved the Pines at level funding from last year. Shouldn't that line be in there?
Yeah, I think this is
we did it.
This was
dated.
after.
Yeah.
Okay.
Same with the Red Cross.
Did we approve them?
Joanna, what did we do with the Red Cross?
Was it 500?
I want to say 500.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think this,
Two new beginnings,
Yes,
you did 1530?
yes.
Okay.
Silver Lake, we put at 0.
Hold on. Now I gotta add some numbers in here, so hold
We
on.
did 0.
Genesis was 0.
War Conflict Memorial. Was that NA?
Well, this is the-
Okay.
the only question I have, and I figured it out. Never mind.
I don't know that you guys, did you guys vote on Birch Hill at one point?
Yeah, they were early.
I don't believe you voted on it, you just said they didn't need to come in.
Right, I thought that you guys had decided to hold off until the selectmen's budget to vote, no?
Okay. Do I have a
It's
mo,
a contract.
We'll do it again.
I think we could just motion,
I think Eric's coming up with a bottom line for you.
I think we can get a bottom line just by selectmen
No,
approved. I
there's
think
a
everything's the
discrepancy
same. What's the
between
difference?
The Budget Committee and the selectmen
Oh,
on
there you go.
community action transit
That
of
was
$500.
Okay.
Okay, what's the final number, sir?
So our approved budget would be $160,574. That's what I'm saying,
160?
160,574.
Because you add the $500 discrepancy to the selectmen's number, it comes 165,074.
160.
Oh, I'm sorry, 160,574.
I make a motion that we accept the final numbers as Eric has presented them.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Those opposed, nay. Okay. Any further discussion on the operating budget at this point in time?
I just had a question about, I know we already went over this, but the police department increase because of contracts and health insurance, so that was the health insurance. I assume some people had some serious issues to take care of or something over the years, and it increased that. That's a big jump, so just
It's the cost of the premium.
John?
And the cost of premiums went up if somebody has a baby or changes
One of the
plans,
They go to a family.
You go to a family.
Single?
or a
Oh,
single
okay.
plus one, you
Right.
might go to a family.
Life event, somebody gets married.
all right,
hand
so
that over to
that's
Wayne?
just, okay.
That's the health insurance.
John, can I have that, please?
Pass that down.
Yeah.
John?
A couple of offices that.
Thank you.
We also have
Two
contractual,
offices a union.
Good. Okay.
Baffled that I missed.
Contractual,
Entertain a motion to adjourn?
Okay, before we do that, it's non-debatable, just a reminder, next week we are meeting, and the nature of that meeting is
Public hearing.
public hearing, okay?
I will have some information. Do you want to go over that before you call the public hearing?
Yes, we'll do that, and that'll do it. And can we make sure that it gets posted on the website for the public hearing?
It is.
It's already up there.
Yeah, just to make sure that we're all covered by anything. Any further business before this committee? Hearing none.
Make a
Done.
motion to adjourn.
Non-debatable motion.
Second.
Second over here, non-debatable motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Nay, it's late and I'm getting muddled in my old age.
Need to remember that.
Parks and Recreation.
It's okay.
And what was the contractual
We'll take care of it next week.
people we added,
I am, looking at them right now.
Contractual.
extra